fifth grade, Miss Hinshaw here, and today I'm going to tell you the story of King Henry. Now, this is a very notorious story. Some of you may know it, some of you may not. And there's a reason I'm telling you this story today. And yes, it does have something to do with math. So just sit back, relax, and think to yourself, why is Miss Hinshaw reading me this very crazy story about King Henry? Let's start. Once upon a time in a faraway land, there lived a king who loved chocolate milk. His name was King Henry. Throughout his kingdom, King Henry made sure that all of the cows were fed great supplies of chocolate to continue to provide him with his beloved chocolate milk. King Henry drank chocolate milk with his breakfast. He drank chocolate milk with his lunch. He drank chocolate milk with his dinner. He even drank chocolate milk for his bedtime snack. King Henry drank chocolate milk by the liters. King Henry was so obsessed with his chocolate milk that he wrote a decree making it illegal for anyone to drink chocolate milk except for him. King Henry's wife was furious with his decision to create such a law, so she grabbed her kids to go stay with her mother. The guards were upset with the king too, so they left the castle to find a new king to take care of. Soon, King Henry was all alone, but he had his chocolate milk. Upset? He drank more chocolate milk than ever. And one evening, he drank so much chocolate milk that his body couldn't process all of the chocolate and sugar. Sadly, King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. Now, let's really look at that phrase. King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. Why is Miss Hinshaw teaching us such a strange story with such a strange line? Well, this whole week we've been working on conversions. Monday we started with feet, inches, and yards. We moved on to liquids with gallons, pints, quarts, and cups. And today we're learning about the metric system and the metric units and how to convert those. This saying, King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk, is what we call a mnemonic device. Mnemonic is just something, such as a very short poem or a special word, used to help a person remember something. We do this all the time to help us remember things that might be a little difficult for us to remember in the first place. So, let's break it down. What do each one of these words mean, and how does it have something to do with the metric system? Well, let's start with king. King is kilo. Kilo is 1,000. Move on to Henry. It is the hecto unit. A hecto is 100. Died is deca. Deca is 10. Unusually is where we get our units. Our units can be grams, meters, or liters. Deci, which is drinking in our mnemonic device, is worth 1/10. There we see it as a decimal and a fraction. Centi, which is chocolate in our mnemonic device, is 1/100th. That is as a decimal and a fraction. And then finally, our last word, milk, is milli, which is 1/1000th. So, the metric system remembers him every year when students learn math. His RIP statement is King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. This is how you remember the prefixes for metric measurement and how to order the units from greatest to smallest. So let's get some practice with this so we can become pros. Let's see how this helps us. Well, when converting metric units from one unit to another, you can use this simple phrase to keep you from making any mistakes. Let's do an example together. 45 centimeters. We want to make 45 centimeters into meters. Now, if you look at the labels, cm is the same as centimeter. M is just meter. So let's look at that mnemonic device again. King Henry died, unusually drinking chocolate milk. Now, this is when we really have to pay attention. Yes, there's an M on the mnemonic device, but the M in this saying stands for milli. The U in units is where we get our meters. So let's start at centi. That's C. And we have to go all the way to U, which is the same as meter. So we're going to take our arrow, move 1 space, 2 space. Now what am I moving, you may ask? Well, like Miss Hinshaw said before, every whole number has a decimal at the very end. We just don't write it like that. So 45 has a decimal right after the 5. That is what we're moving. We're going to move it 2 places. So once again, our first loop was from C to D, and our next loop was from D to U, making our new number 45 hundredths of a meter. So 45 centimeters equals 45 hundredths of a meter. Let's try this together again. All right, let's start with 8 kilometers, and we want to go to meters. First step I would do is write down that special mnemonic device. King Henry died, unusually drinking chocolate milk. This time we're starting at K for kilo, and we're still going to U for units because we know that in this mnemonic device, the M stands for milli, not meters. The U in unit is for meters, grams, or liters. So once again, we're going to start at K, and our 8 has an invisible decimal at the very end. And we're just going to move that decimal however many places it takes us to get from K to U. So let's do this together. 1 spot, and every time we move, we need to have a placeholder, which we know is 0. So we add a 0. We move another spot, we add another 0. We move another spot, and we add another 0. So how many meters are in 8 kilometers? 8,000. Let's see if you can do this on your own. We're going to start with changing 40 meters into kilometers. Go ahead. I'll give you some time to work on it on your own. Okay, let's go over this together. I'm hoping you moved the decimal to the left 3 times because you're starting in the mnemonic device at U and moving to K. So we know that there's an invisible decimal after the 0 and 40, and we're just moving the decimal over however many spaces it took us to leap from meters to kilometers. So if we start with 40, we're going to move 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots. We need to add a 0 in front of the 4 because we're going to have that decimal. And we know zeros are placeholder. If you would like, you can also write another 0 in front of the decimal, but it's not necessary. Our answer now is 40 thousandths. Let's do one more. We start with 4 kilometers, and we're going to see how many centimeters are in 4 kilometers. My trick is to always write down that acronym. King Henry died, unusually drinking chocolate milk. Once again, we're starting at K for kilometer, and this time we're going to C for centimeter. How many spaces are we moving, and in which direction? Well, since we're starting at K, we know we have to move to the right. And we're going 5 decimal spots. Let's do it together. Start with our 4. We're just moving that decimal once again. Moving at 1 spot, we need a placeholder. Another spot, another placeholder. Another spot, keep going. 1 more after this. In total, we have 400,000 centimeters in 4 kilometers. So we need to remember King Henry when we are doing conversions with the metric system. Every time you need to convert metric units, it works like magic. This is the one gift King Henry left behind for his people. Let's see if you can remember the acronym on your own. I'll say it with you. King Henry died, unusually drinking chocolate milk. So one more time, we really want to stick this in our brains. Let's go over the metric conversions mnemonic. King is kilo, which represents 1,000. Henry is hecto, which is 100. Died is deca, which is 10. Unusually is our unit of measurement. It represents 1. Remember, that can be grams, liters, or meters. Drinking is deci, that's 1/10. Chocolate is centi, that's 1/100th. And milk is milli, which is 1/1000. Now, being in 5th grade, we really only work with kilo, our units of measurement, centi, and milli. But in order for this whole mnemonic device to make sense and to work, we need to fill it out completely. So although there's a lot to remember, 5th grade we really just focus on kilos, centis, millis, and changing in and out of those metric units. We're going to get more practice in before you go on your own.
Alright guys, I wanted to show you just a couple more examples so I could really show you how I'm moving that decimal. I moved over to Notability in order to make it a lot easier and for me to actually draw the arrows as I'm going. So let me start out with something pretty easy. Let's do 24 kilometers equals how many meters? Now hopefully this entire time throughout the video you've had your math notebook open or a scrap piece of paper, been following along and taking notes with me because it's going to make it a lot easier for you to grasp the concepts and understand what you should be doing. So if I start out with this, 24 kilometers equal how many meters? Let me highlight exactly where that is on our mnemonic device. So once again, it's King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk. We're starting at kilo. We're going to the U for unusually because we know that's units, and meter is a unit of measurement. So let me change my color to red, and I can really show you how I want to move this decimal. Now, like I said before, decimals are always at the very end of whole numbers. And however many times you move the decimal is how many placeholders you will need. So we're going 1 spot, 2 spots, 3 spots. So I'm just going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3. Put it right at the end. We also know we don't really need it at the end of whole numbers, but this is a great visual to see that I need 1 0, 2 zeros, 3 zeros in my final answer. So my final answer would be 24,000 meters. So there are 24,000 meters and 24 kilometers. Now let's say that we start with a number that already has a decimal in it. You might be wondering, what do we do then? So let's say we start with 2 4/10 centimeters equals how many meters? So once again, we're looking at centimeters and we're going to meters. So we got to still consider, okay, how many spots did I jump? We went 1 spot, 2 spots. This time you're actually just going to start where the decimal is. You're going to start right here, and you're going to move that decimal spot once again, 1 place, 2 places. So there's a new decimal, and we have to have that placeholder 0 right in front of the 2. So my answer, which remember we can put that 0 in front of the decimal if we want to, is 24 thousandths of a meter. So with 2 4/10 centimeters are in 24 thousandths of a meter.